Hey everybody, Tim and Julie here for another Batman the Animated Series, Season 1, Part 10. It's hard to believe we've done 10 parts of these already. So we're doing 4 more episodes. Another two-parter sneaks in, so it's kind of like 3. Episodes 37, The Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne, 38 and 39, The Heart of Steel, and episode 40, If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich? So we'll kind of do it as we always do from the beginning to the end. So episode 37, Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne. This is the one with Hugo Strange who shows up. We see the Joker, we see Two-Face, we see the Penguin, we see all sorts of characters showing up. What'd you think?
I don't remember. I had too much puppies.
Which, I mean, in a house with 8 animals, that's not that uncommon. Didn't stand out to you?
No.
No? Okay.
I'm sorry.
I mean, that's fine. It is what it is. So for me, Hugo Strange is what stands out the most, only because I think this is the first time we've seen Hugo. Now, they had talked about doing Hugo in movies, in live action movies, and actually Robin Williams was the main candidate to play Hugo Strange. So that's kind of the only reason he stood out. And for this one, I think this is the first time we've seen like multiple villains, most notably Joker, Two-Face, and Penguin, all teaming up together. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of interesting. It's a little bit like the Batman Forever movie where Hugo's like, I know Batman is Bruce Wayne. And then Two-Face comes in and is like, I know who Bruce Wayne is. There's no way it's Batman. Like, that's not a thing. So it's just kind of interesting. So we'll just jump to the next one then. The two-parter, Heart of Steel. You remember this one? No? Okay, I'll just keep going. It's cool.
You're doing fine.
So this is one with killer robots, and it's amazing. Funko Pop has their own, even, of Hardock, who is the robot in charge. This is also, we are now 39 episodes in, the first appearance of Barbara Gordon, who is not yet Batgirl, but we do see Barbara Gordon. Did you So first of all, the voice of Hardock and the creator of Hardock is an actor who is also in Blade Runner, who creates robots in that movie. Weird. Typecast. The company who makes Hardock is called Cybertron. Do you know where Cybertron's from?
From Transformers.
From Transformers. Cybertron is the planet where Transformers come from. So I loved that. That was a weird shout out, but I loved it. So Barbara Gordon shows up for the first 2 episodes of her first 2 appearances. Did you recognize the voice of Barbara Gordon? No. So later on, she is voiced by Tara Strong, who's a fantastic actress. Loved her. But in her I think it's her first 6 episodes, I want to say. So like this whole first season, she's voiced by Melissa Gilbert, who is most famous for being Laura Ingalls from Little House on the Prairie. So that is the voice of Barbara Gordon for the first few episods. Okay. So we will see her again. So you'll get to like next time we see her, you'll be like, oh fuck it, that is Melissa Gilbert. Which when I think of Laura Ingalls, so granted, like Little House on the Prairie was over long before I was born, realistically, but I always think of her as like the older Laura Ingalls. Like when she's like a school teacher, rather than, because I mean, when the series started, she was a little girl, but by the time the series ended, like I think of her as an adult, and she was married, and she was a school teacher, and stuff like that. So, I don't know, I'm not as well versed in Little House on the Prairie, but after I saw it, I was like, oh, you know what, I can kind of hear her being the school teacher, like, you kids need to stop. And I was like, oh, that's Barbara Gordon right there. So there we go. So that's the big actor for this one. And then moving on to the last one, If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich? Which is literally a question. This episode has stuck with me my entire life. because like being in retail, everything there, it's literally like being in the workforce. It doesn't matter your skill set, it doesn't matter how good you are, it just matters like being in the right place at the right time. Because I've known people who have been exceedingly good at their jobs and deserve to be in charge, and I've known people who sucked at their jobs, but they have that silver tongue and they can say just the right thing at just the right moment, and they shoot up the ladder. And so this is kind of where that comes from. And so this is the first episode we've seen with the Riddler, Edward Nygma. So, I mean, we've seen Gorshin in the Adam West series, and briefly John Aston, but we won't even count that. But we've seen Gorshin, we've seen Edward Nygma with the Jim Carrey and Batman Forever, and then bits and pieces here and there like Batman Hush and stuff like that. So for this version, which he is voiced by John Glover, fantastic actor from like Smallville, stuff like that, who had a brief cameo in Batman and Robin. He was Poison Ivy's boss, where she kills him, where like he kills her, and then she comes back to life, and then she kills him. So it's the same actor. So what did you think of this version of the Riddler?
It wasn't bad. Like you said, his riddles were a little harder to try to...
Oh, God, I couldn't solve any of them. I was like, I don't even know. So that was a big complaint that I had with... So, as I've said multiple times already, beating a dead horse at this point, writers in DC have said that the Riddler is the hardest character to write for, because you have to be smarter than the Riddler to write for the Riddler, because you have to know his riddles. That absolutely 100% makes sense. I get that. My biggest complaint watching the Adam West show was they would just make shit up.
Right.
Where they would be like, what is up and down and left and right and wet and round? And Adam West would be like, it's the Gotham City Library. And I'd be like, how the fuck are we supposed to know that?
Yeah.
Like, as an audience member, like no, that's not a thing. Whereas these riddles, we actually have a chance of solving. Which, like in Batman Forever, was fantastic. Like, Jim Carrey was amazing. Or it was like, what is red when it starts and black when it's done and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, it's a match. Like those riddles are actual solvable, and they're fantastic. Like, the Adam West were so, like... And just to hear Adam West be like, it's 3rd and Main in Gotham downtown. Okay, so we literally had zero chance of getting that. Gotcha. So it was really kind of interesting to see these types of riddles. Right. And some of them are the same way. Like his first riddle, like, what do multi-million-dollar deals break down in the Wasteland or whatever? And Wasteland ends up being a hotel in Gotham City. And you're like, okay, I would never have gotten that. But so he's kind of halfway in the middle. This is also, like I said, when I watch this series now, I think of it a lot of a continuation from the 60s. Like, I look at Robin specifically as a Burt Ward continuation. Whereas in this one, when they're playing video games, and I'm like, granted, the video games weren't around in the 60s, but if they were, I could see Burt Ward being this type of character. Right. Like, especially Alfred being like, why are you using a multi-million-dollar back computer to play a video game? And he's like, it's not a video game. Like, this is amazing. Like, I could 100% see, was it Alan Napier who played Alfred in the 60s, and Burt Ward have that interaction. Right. But I did really like it with the Minotaur and the Hand of Fate and stuff like that. I thought it was interesting. So between these, the Hugo Strange, the Hardock, the Riddler, anything jumping out at you? Things that you like, things you didn't like? Any other thoughts?
No, they were pretty good. And now that you said Melissa Gilbert, I'm gonna have to pay closer attention.
Next time we see her.
Next time, yeah.
Which I am proud. You, as soon as I said her name, you were like, "That's Laura Ingalls." Like, you were ready. So. Yeah. But this is one of those, like, they sneak those
Exactly,
actors in there.
yeah.
Like, it's very subtle.
It's like in the Adam West when they do the guest
Oh,
appearances.
yep.
The last few were hard. I don't think
Mhm.
any of us
No.
got them.
Yeah, they were. Like, when it's Lurch, you're like, okay, I know who that is.
Yeah.
But, like, it's like some sort of columnist for the New York Times or something. You're like, I'm not going to know who that is.
Yeah.
Even if that episode came out today and it was some sort of columnist from the New York Times today, probably wouldn't know who it is. So, yeah. It just depends on how hard they try. Like,
Right.
I know who Lurch is. I even know who Dick Clark is. Even though, like, that's, like, Dick Clark from American Bandstand.
Right.
And I know Dick Clark from, like, the New York Ball Drop
Yeah.
type things. But, yeah, some of these, I'm like, I don't know who they are. So, okay. So far, for the animated series, liking it?
I'm liking it.
Liking it? Okay. And I'll ask real quick, because I think this is the last one for a minute. The two-parter episodes. Are you liking the one-shots? Are you liking the two-parters? Because the last few, we've had two-parters with, like, the Robin and this, the Heart of Steel.
They've been okay.
Okay. I think, like, Catwoman had a two-parter, Mr. Freeze had a two-parter. So sometimes they do two-parters, and most of them are just one-shots.
Yeah.
And we will see more two-parters later down the road, but...
Yeah, they're doing okay with it.
Okay. So for those who've seen this little batch, go ahead. What did you think about Hugo Strange? What did you think about... And Hugo Strange, once again, that's one of those... Batman movies are never going to stop being made. Literally, there's another Batman movie in production right now, the Robert Pattinson one. And who are the villains? It's Catwoman and the Penguin and the Riddler. All three characters that we've seen before. So Hugo Strange is one of those that people are always talk about. They're like, let's see him. Let's see what their interpretation is. So what did you think about Hugo Strange? What did you think about Hardock in the Heart of Steel? And what did you think about both the Riddler and Batgirl's first appearance? Go ahead, let us know what you think. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And we will see you guys next time.